G'day and welcome back. I'm Joel Slate Cans, coffee in hand, boots on the ground, and honestly pretty fired up for today's chat.
And I'm Ryan Delaney, mate. The coffee's doing the heavy lifting for me this morning, but I'm awake, I'm upright, and I'm ready to stir the pot, as usual.
If you're new here, this is the 3CIR podcast. We're built by veterans for veterans, first responders, and anyone committed to leveling up. At the heart of 3CR are our 5 big tenets: courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, and respect. They're not just words we painted on a wall, they're how we move and why we exist.
Yeah, we came out of the Australian Defence Force world with a mission: help people transition smoothly from uniform to civilian life. We've got a soft spot for veterans and emergency services, but honestly, the tools and courses we offer, especially RPL, recognition of prior learning, are there for anyone who's built hard-won skills and wants them recognised properly.
And speaking of RPL, today we're diving into something you'll use the second you think about a new gig. We're unpacking how to decide whether to say yes to a job. The big idea comes from a list of 17 questions you should ask yourself before accepting an offer, and we're going to pair that with the purpose of RPL because those two threads are tighter than you think.
Right? Half the stress of a new job is not knowing if it actually fits who you are and where you're going. The other half is feeling like your resume undersells what you can do. RPL is the bridge. It translates the messy, real stuff you've learned on ops, on the floor, in the field, into recognized qualifications that open doors and help you negotiate better.
Let's set the stage. You're in the hunt. You put out feelers, you've done interviews, and boom, an offer lands. Feels good. It's flattering, especially if you've been grinding. But the worst thing you can do is grab the first thing out of fear that nothing else will come along.
Fear's a sneaky operator. It gets in your ear saying, hey, take it now or you'll miss out. We've both done that at least once, and it's not just fear. There's that sunk cost feeling, like you've invested time in the interview process, you've met the team, maybe you've even bought a new shirt, so you think you've got to follow through.
Here's the truth. A job is a multi-year commitment. It's not buying a new jacket. You're signing up for a chunk of your life, your energy, your mornings, your Sunday blues, and if you keep jumping every time something feels a bit off, you end up in that cycle. Short-term relief, long-term disappointment. Repeat.
I've seen this. You chase a shiny title, the pay bump hits your account, and for about 6 weeks, you're invincible. Then the culture shows its true colors, the KPIs creep, the team dynamics bite, and you're scrolling job boards again at 2 a.m. That's the trap.
So let's get practical. 17 questions is a lot, but they're not boxes to tick. They're conversation starters with yourself. The first one, and it's a big one, are the problems you have with your current job actually long-term or just short-term pain?
That's such a sobering one because sometimes the thing you hate right now is just a bad quarter or a messy transition. New boss, restructuring, changing systems. If it's short-term and you jump to escape the discomfort, you risk landing somewhere with a longer-term problem you can't budge.
I ask people to run the 3-month test. If you froze your decision for 3 months and did everything in your power to fix what you can, clarify expectations, agree on priorities, set boundaries, would it get better? If yes, then maybe hold. If no, okay, green light to look harder.
And sometimes the fix is not dramatic. It's a conversation. Quick example, one listener told us he was ready to bail because he felt invisible. Boss never recognized his wins. He had that tough chat, asked for specific feedback rhythms, they set a fortnightly check-in, and suddenly his world changed. He almost jumped for a problem that was a 20-minute talk.
Next big question, is this the kind of workplace culture where you'll actually thrive? Pay, benefits, perks, they're loud. Culture's quiet, but it runs your life. Do you want autonomy or step-by-step direction? Do you need a team that jokes before stand-up, or do you crave monk-like focus?
Think about how you felt in the best team you ever served with. For me, it was when we were tight, straight talk, high trust, and we could take the mickey out of each other without anyone sulking. That's culture. In civilian life, it might look like a company that celebrates learning, not blames people for mistakes, or one that actually lives its values, not just prints them.
And here's where RPL fits. If you rock up to interviews with your experience properly mapped to qualifications, say your years running safety in the field are now recognized as a WHS qualification, you're not just a maybe. You're a candidate who can ask better questions. You can say, I've led these risk assessments, here's how I document it, here's my cert trail. It shifts the power dynamic.
Totally. It's like walking into a negotiation with your service record in plain English. It says, I'm serious about the craft, not just the pay. Speaking of craft, another great question. What am I going to learn here? If the answer is not much, that's a red flag unless you're deliberately taking a short-term role for a specific reason.
Career equals learning curves. If it's flat, your value stagnates. If it's steep but supported, you accelerate. I like to ask the hiring manager, what will success look like in 90 days, 6 months, 12 months? Then ask, what support will I have? Mentors, training budgets, time for professional development?
And if they say we don't really do training, we just hire A players and let them figure it out, that might sound cool, but it usually means chaos, which, to be fair, some people love. But know thyself, right?
Exactly. Another one. Who will I be working for and with? Bosses matter, teams matter. If you can, meet them. Ask them what they're proud of and what keeps them up at night. Listen for whether they share credit. You can smell insecurity a mile off.
And if you can't meet them, look sideways, talk to someone who left the team. What do alumni say? If everyone who leaves still has a beer with the boss, that's a good sign. If it's a witness protection vibe, maybe not say.
Let's talk logistics. What's the real cost of this job? Commute, hours, on-call, shift work, travel, family life. Salary can look great until you're spending 12 hours a week stuck in traffic to get to an office with free fruit and zero empathy.
Also, total compy. Salary. Sure, but what about super, bonuses, overtime policies, tools, phone, allowances, training, wellness, leave? Does the company treat professional development as an expense or an investment? If they'll support RPL, short courses, certifications, that's money in your future pocket.
Here's a cheeky power move. If you're sitting on a mountain of experience but not the paper, do RPL before or during the job hunt. That way, when you're negotiating, you can quantify your capability. We've seen people use RPL to move up salary bands because suddenly they meet formal criteria HR can't ignore.
And we make that easy. At 3CIR, RPL is about mapping your prior learning, military, emergency services, management, all of it, against nationally recognized qualifications. It's not gaming the system, it's getting credit for the work you've already done. The purpose is to save you time, save you money, and fast track your career without repeating training you've mastered in the real world.
Back to the list. Ask, what problem is this role trying to solve? If you don't know, you can't win. If the company can't say, we need you to reduce incident rates by X or improve customer response times by Y, then how are you measured?
Which leads into another. How will performance be measured? If a company can describe that clearly, they usually have their act together. If they wave their hands and say, we'll know it when we see it, that's your sign.
I also like, what does a bad day look like here? And what happens when things go wrong? You'll learn more about culture from how people talk about failure than you will from any mission statement.
If the answer is we don't like mistakes, we hire perfect people, run. If they say bad days happen, we do an after-action review without blame, we fix systems, not people. You might be home.
Now, values alignment. Does this job fit your values? That's not fluffy. If respect, integrity, and service matter to you, and you're joining a place that cuts corners, you will feel it in your gut every Monday mornings.
And there's the lifestyle fit. Can your life support this job? If you've got kids, if you're a carer, if you're training for a marathon, if weekends matter, ask how the job respects that. High performance doesn't mean 24/7 availability. It means focus and boundaries.
Here's a thought experiment. Imagine the best case scenario 2 years into the job. What skills do you have? What's on your CV that wasn't there before? If that future version of you looks stronger and more mobile, that's a green flag. If not, maybe this offer is bait, not a bridge.
And what's the worst case? Is the company stable? Do they have a solid track record with customers? Are they growing sustainably or chasing shiny objects? You don't need a crystal ball, but you can read the signs.
Let's loop back to culture versus compensation because, like we teased earlier, this is where people get stuck. Money matters. We won't pretend otherwise. But consider the long game ROI. If a slightly lower salary comes with mentorship, a qualification pathway, real leadership exposure, and a sane schedule that can outpace a higher number in a year or two,
I've taken the bigger check before and paid for it with my soul. I'm still invoicing for that therapy. Meanwhile, I've seen folks take roles with strong leadership development and get 2 promotions in 18 months because they grew fast and the company noticed.
On leadership, quick plug. Check out 3CIR's videos and resources. We've got solid pieces across leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government, project management, the whole suite. If you're browsing roles in those areas, those videos are a great way to test drive your interest in language before you interview.
Yeah. And if you watch a few and realize, actually, I speak this language already, that's your cue to do RPL and get the letters after your name. If not, maybe dip into a short course and fill the gaps. The goal is to walk into an offer with clarity and confidence. Less guesswork, more precision.
Let's add a few more of those questions because they're deceptively simple. Who will I become if I take this job? Will it make me more of who I want to be? If your personal mission is to lead teams under pressure and keep people safe, and the job takes you away from that into pure admin, weigh it carefully.
Another keeper, what's the 90-day plan? If the hiring manager has one, bravo. If not, co-create it in the interview. You learn a lot seeing how they plan, and then ask what resources are allocated to that plan. If it's, we want you to rebuild the department with no budget and no headcount, parcel.
What about decision-making authority? You can't be accountable without authority. If they want you to own outcomes but must escalate every decision, you'll be stuck in a bind.
And don't forget the commute test. Picture your future self stuck on the M1, it's raining, your podcast queue is empty. Are you still happy to be going where you're going? If the answer's no, beware the daily grind.
I'll throw in the team test. Do you have a mix of experience levels? If it's all juniors, you'll be a mentor 24/7 with no peers. If it's all seniors, it might be a battle of egos. Healthy teams have diversity of thought and capability.
I like to ask, what does the company celebrate? Is it customer wins, safety milestones, learning outcomes, teamwork, or is it just revenue and hustling till you drop? What you celebrate is what you value. And yes, cake in the kitchen counts.
There's also the reality check of how you will feel on Sunday night. We joke about the Sunday scaries, but it's data. Your body knows. If the thought of Monday excites you even 10%, you're on the right track. If it fills you with dread before you've even started, take a beat.
Let's circle back to RPL because the purpose cuts through all of this. Recognition of prior learning exists to convert your experience into recognized qualifications so you can stop starting from zero. It accelerates your trajectory, validates your skills, and gives you language to negotiate wisely. Instead of saying, I did some stuff, you say, here's my Cert IV, here's my diploma, here's exactly what that covers.
And it's not just vanity. Qualifications can be mandatory gates in certain fields: WHS, security, government, project management. If you've done the work, RPL lets you step through those gates without sitting in a classroom relearning what you learned the hard way.
Practical story. One of our alumni, former Army, had been coordinating logistics under pressure for years. He did RPL, earned a qualification in project management and logistics, went back to the table and negotiated a senior coordinator role with a salary bump. Same human, new paper, different outcome.
Tactically, this is how we see people use RPL alongside the 17 questions. First, do a skills stock take. If your next job would benefit from formal recognition, say HR or WHS, line up RPL so the qualification can either be on your resume or in progress by the time you accept. Second, when you ask about progression, mention how your qualifications enable you to contribute faster. It signals professionalism.
And 3, use it as an opener to talk about training support. Ask if the company has budgets for continued learning, if they offer study leave, if they'll help you advance to the next qualification. Companies that invest in people usually have answers ready.
We've talked a lot about what to ask. Let's talk about how to listen. You'll hear 2 kinds of answers, ones grounded in reality and ones that sound like slogans. Your job is to notice which you're getting. If a manager says, "We value work-life balance," ask them how they protect it. Do they set clear after-hours boundaries? Do they roster fairly? What's the evidence?
And notice the vibe. Do they ask you good questions back? Do they want to understand your strengths deeply? That's a sign of a thoughtful hiring process. If the interview is one way or rushed, that's also data.
I'll drop a quick checklist of gut checks without turning it into a lecture. Do you trust the boss? Do you respect them? Would you be proud to bring your family to a company event? Do you feel safe to speak up? Do you know how you will add value on day one? If you can't answer those, slow down.
I love the family test. If you brought your kid to a take your kid to work day, would you be excited to show them what you do? That question exposes a lot. Pride matters.
Let's give some permission to walk away. It's okay to say no. It's okay to keep interviewing. When you've done your homework, saying no isn't fear, it's integrity. And you won't hurt your career by being selective, you'll actually build it.
And if you're worried about momentum, put your energy into upskilling while you look. Do a short course. Get your RPL assessment started. Watch a couple of our leadership or project management videos to sharpen your language. Momentum doesn't only come from accepting the first offer, it comes from moving deliberately.
On that, a lot of you message us asking where to start. If you're eyeing leadership roles, jump into our leadership videos. If HR's the move, we've got pieces that explain the modern HR toolkit. WHS for safety roles, security if you're pivoting from service, business and marketing content if you're entrepreneurial, government and project management for public sector or structured environments. Pick the lane you're curious about, take a look, and see what resonates.
And if you watch a couple and think, this is me, book a chat with our team. No pressure conversations. We'll map your experience to qualifications and show you what's possible with RPL or a course. You don't have to figure it out alone.
I want to revisit one of those questions from a different angle. Are you saying yes to escape or to move towards something? If the only reason you're accepting is because your current job hurts, you might be moving blindly. If you've actually got a vision of where you're going and this role is a step on that path, that's a stronger yes.
Yeah, the toward versus away test. Away yeses feel panicky. Toward yeses feel focused. Listen to your breath when you think about it. If it quickens with excitement, that's data. If it tightens, also data.
Another subtle one. Do you like the language the company uses? Words matter. If their emails and job descriptions drip with blame or buzzwords, you might not like living inside that operating system.
And make sure the title means something. We all love a cool title, but if head of special projects means doing everything and owning nothing, you'll be sprinting in circles. Ask for clarity on scope.
Don't forget the probation period. What are the expectations during probation? How do they handle it if things aren't working? Do they offer feedback and support or just cut ties? It tells you how they treat people in vulnerable moments.
Good point. Also, ask about tooling. Do they use modern systems or are you going to be Frankensteining Excel spreadsheets from 2007? It sounds small, but your daily workflow matters for sanity and performance.
Okay, rapid fire closeout on the 17 without making you dizzy. Do you have what you need to succeed? How does the team collaborate? How are decisions made? What are the ethics? What's the trajectory? How do they grow leaders? What are you not being told? And the big one, if you had 3 offers, would this still be your choice?
That last one is gold. Picture abundance. When you choose from a place of options, you choose better. So even if you've got 1 offer now, act like you've got 3. Ask with confidence, evaluate with clarity, and take your time where you can...
Let's land this. If you're in the decision window, here's our play. Write down your top 5 non-negotiables. Could be culture, learning, pay, schedule, values. Ask the key questions to test those. Use RPL to back yourself with recognized qualifications. Loop in someone you trust to sanity, check your reasoning. Then decide with conviction.
And if you're not sure how to turn your experience into a qualification, that's literally what we do all day. Recognition of prior learning at 3CIR is designed to honor your service and your work, translate it, and give you the paper to match the person. That's the purpose in plain terms.
Before we wrap, a quick nod to something we'll dig into next episode. There's been some noise about cancellation decisions taken against Get Qualified Australia entities. We've had a lot of questions from listeners about what that means, how to avoid dodgy operators, and how to safely choose a provider.
Yeah, we'll unpack what happened, what to look for in a legit RPL or training provider, and how to do your due diligence so your time and money are protected. We'll keep it straight and practical. Promise.
In the meantime, jump onto 3CIR, explore the videos we mentioned across leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government, and project management. If you're close to a decision, book a chat with our team, ask the hard questions, we can handle it.
And hey, if you're staring at an offer right now, breathe. You don't have to say yes today. Use the questions we talked through. Trust your gut. And remember, your skills have value. RPL can help you show it, and the right job will recognize it.
That's us for today. Keep your standards high and your curiosity higher.
And keep your coffee strong. We'll catch you next time to talk about the Get Qualified Australia situation and how to navigate providers like a pro. Stay sharp, folks.